ネタバレめっちゃあります。
なるほどね、こういう仕組みか。参考になりますね。
なりませんわ。
脳筋が過ぎる。
あ、どうも、東北きりたんです。
ずんのずん。
東北いた子ですわ。
早速なんですが、新しいマップが来たので、やっていきたいと思います。
この剥製を前に言うことかな。
そのうち治るでしょう。
まあ、面白い飾り方だとは思うんですけどね。
寸吉も連れて行くから安心してください。
ところで、新しいマップっていうのはどこなのかな？
メキシコですね。どうやら、メキシコの砂漠の中心という厳しい環境らしいです。
そんなところにも動物っているんですわね。
あんまり大きな動物のイメージはないけど、何がいるか楽しみだね。
いつの間にか10カ所目ですか。メキシコでも素敵な動物と出会えるといいですね。
Welcome to Rancho del Arroyo. Your flight was okay? Can I get you? This is Vaquero country. Generations of cowboys have eked out a living here, my family among them. But all that cattle ranching has left its mark. I'd be trading this land's future for a quick buck if I wasn't prepared to face up to that. You've been all over the world, hunted in countless reserves. If anyone knows what this place needs to compete with the best of them, it's you. So, I want you to help us make a change. Become Northern Mexico's leading biosphere and hunting reserve. Let me explain.
おっと、室内だ。
¿Qué onda, sleepyhead? It's time to get to work. If you want to head out and work off last night's carne asada, do me the honor of officially opening this outpost first, huh? Or feel free to scout out the place. Get the bacanora out of your system. This building, La Casa Grande or the Big House, is gonna be your base of operations. I know, it's a mess. I took my own stuff, but nobody's volunteered to come pick up the family's things yet. So look all you want, but don't touch. My mom would come over and hit me with her flip-flop if I so much as hinted that someone had been rummaging around. Family, you know. Anyway, settle in.
もう入っちゃってますが。スタートがアウトポストからっていうの。
U.S. hunters love to glass terrain with binoculars. But if you find yourself in denser cover, tracking's the way to go. Just make sure you keep your bearings.
今のは、ガイドが痕跡を教えてくれるいつものやつだね。
いきなり痕跡を教えられてしまいましたね。まだ外に出てもいないのですが、調べられるものがあります。
My abuela insisted on the cross. At least we managed to convince her that one was enough.
これがあまり触らない方がいい家族のものですかね。
思い出の品々って感じですわね。
ああ、まだアウトポストが開放されてないようなので、開放しましょう。
ずいぶん立派なアウトポストだね。
キリタンたちの別荘と同じくらいですね。
Not a bad place to put your feet up, no? Come back whenever you need a real bed. Now, I know you've mastered some pretty extreme environments, but the desert isn't something you can just stroll into. Why don't you do some scouting from the lookout tower nearby? The first step to surviving out here is knowing where the water is. That'll lead you to the food, and I'm sure you can figure out the rest.
どうやら、調べ物がまだまだあるらしいので、探索しましょうか。
片付けの最中って感じですわね。
これは。
可愛らしい絵だね。
Ugh. Oh, I told her to take those down. This is what I did when the other boys were out playing soccer. Managed to make a career out of it at least.
うまいとは言えないですけど、特徴が捉えられてて何が書かれているかはわかりますわね。
うさぎの絵なんかは上手だと思うよ。
The Underdogs by Mariano Azuela. It's about the revolution. My bisabuelo Javier used to complain that Azuela had gotten it all wrong. And I should know I was there. But he must have read it cover to cover 20 times.
ひいおじいさんは革命を経験しているんですね。この鍵は違うか。あ、ロープが壁にかかってますね。
That was my great-grandfather Javier's. I swear that man used to take the damn thing into the bathroom with him. He was a vaquero through and through. Hey, I don't mean to stress you out or anything, but this isn't quite what I meant by scouting the place out.
いや、キリタンも早く外に出たいんですけどね。これだけ調べられるものがあると、そういうわけにもいきません。
あといくつあるかな。
That's a soldadera's hat. A woman revolutionary. My sister borrowed it for the centenary celebrations in Mexico City a few years ago. Let no one tell you Mexican women are afraid to do the dirty work.
何かそういうことわざでもあるのかしらね。調べてもよくわかりませんでしたわ。
結構探す場所が多くて大変だね。
No one's really been in here much since my bisabuelo. That's my great-grandfather, since he died. Well, you're thorough. I'll give you that.
ようやく調べ終わったみたいです。
おぼろげながらサルバトールさんの背景が分かったかしらね。
そうですかね。家族と仲いいのかなとか、ひいおじいちゃんの話が出てくるのはくらいですけど。
もう、それくらいでいいんじゃないかな。
そうですか。それじゃ外へ行って監視塔に登りましょう。
アンテロープウサギ。耳が長くて足が速い。
乾燥しているのは予想していたんですけど、低木やら茂みが多いですね。
遠くは見えるんですけど、それは景色的な話で、狩りという面では障害になりそうですわね。
まあ、その辺は、高台とか狩猟スタンドでカバーできたらいいですね。湖もそれなりにあるようですし、その周りを見てみてもいいかもしれません。
DLC だけど、三脚とかもあるしね。
とりあえず高さは偉大ですわ。
草だ。
草ですわ。
一番上からは、狩りができないタイプですかね。
外には出られないっぽいね。
残念。
Looks captivating, though. Except a lot of the problem with ranches like this one is what you can't see. We've sucked up so much of the groundwater for cattle that areas that used to be wetlands are turning arid year-round. The grasslands are mostly buffalo grass. It's an introduced species that smothers native plants. Likes to catch fire, too. I once saw a saguaro, one of those classic cactus plants, surrounded by buffalo grass, burst into flames. It was one of the kicks in the rear I needed to finally sell off the last of our cattle. Anyway, take the time to explore the ranch in your downtime, too. If even half of what I heard growing up is true, there is plenty waiting out there.
どこもかしこも外来種に悩まされてますね。
難しい問題ですわ。
So, while I'm stuck waiting for someone, they said less than a minute, but out here that means at least 5, or probably more like 20. Anyway, you're here to evaluate the facilities, but there are a few things I need you to take care of first. I'll make it worth your while, of course. First up, the cattle may be gone, but there's still some fencing left. There should be a pair of fencing pliers on the countertop in the hacienda's kitchen.
さては、キリタンに雑用をやらせるつもりだな。
ハンターと書いて雑用係と読む。
いつものことか。
小裏い生地。泣いても泣かなくても打っちゃうよ。
Okay, take it section by section.
部分的に残ってて罠みたいです。
こりゃ危ない。
Hey, watch yourself there. The nearest hospital would laugh you out of the building if you told them you needed a tetanus shot for a barbed wire cut just because you weren't wearing gloves.
なんかレーザーでも撃っているかのような音ですわね。
音が合ってるかはともかく嫌いじゃないです。
And now the posts. You can pile them up in a heap and I'll have someone collect them later.
これくらいなら楽勝ですね。
Whew. I'm getting sweaty just watching you. Hey, don't get me wrong. I actually wanted to check this one off the list myself, but I had some matters to attend to in town. It's a big moment for the ranch, tearing down the last of the fencing. The Soto family has raised cattle on this land since Mexico's independence. My mom... now you're making me sentimental. Look, how about a change of pace, huh? I'm stuck here waiting, and you're probably itching to put that trigger finger to good use, so let's have some fun. Things out here aren't all business, you know?
ようやく狩りができそうですね。
You ever hunted pheasant before, no? Well, I'm no expert, but I picked up a couple of pointers from my friends over the border when we introduced these guys, so I can show you the ropes. Head over to the region marked on your hunter mate and we'll get started. Pheasants are shy, so look around for any evidence of them in vegetation cover.
キジさんですか。七面鳥みたいな感じで狩ればいいんでしょうか。
どうなんだろう。
とりあえず狩り場に向かってみましょう。
Somewhere around here is a good place to start looking. So, the trick to pheasant hunting is maybe a little counterintuitive. You have to make them flee, or flush them out. They're lousy flyers, but we can use that to our advantage. We've just gotta get them to take off first. You know the rest. The right ammo for the job, of course, then it's pan comido, a piece of cake. And no one likes a cheater, so no shooting them on the ground, got it?
へえ、飛んでる時に撃たないといけないんですか。
飛んでない時に撃っても評価されないみたいですわ。
なんか変なルールですけど、まあいいか。ちょうど、キジさんが狩猟対象ということで、メキシコマップと同時に追加された酵素モデル1897を持ってきました。
相談数5発でいいんだけど、ねえ。
なんだか歯切れが悪いですけど、これでキジさんを買っちゃいましょう。今の鳴き声はビッグホーンさんでしたね。この辺りにいると思うんですが、見えるかな？いたいた。飛ばさないといけないようなので派手に行きましょう。
いきなり発砲とは派手ですわね。
飛ばないもんだね。
まだ近くにいるはずです。よーし、飛べ飛べ。
飛びましたわ。
それじゃ、バードショットで。あれ、撃てない。リロード。最後の一発だけ当たりましたか。しかし、リロードするまで撃てなくてびっくりしましたよ。
なんか、すぐに撃てないバグがあるみたいなんだよね。
持ち歩きますけど割と致命的ですね。あ、なんかこっちに飛んできてます。
落下音がなんかリアルですわね。
それではキジさん回収です。
5、シルバー評価ですわね。
あれ、なんか変なことしたかな。
3ヒットしたことになってるね。
ってことは、向こうに行ったキジさんが戻ってきたってことですか。体力を確認すれば分かったかもしれないですけど、そこまで余裕がありませんでしたね。
飛んでるところを撃たないといけないから焦っちゃったね。
まあまあ、サクッともう1羽借りましょう。この辺りに。よーし、飛べ飛べ。
飛んだ直後でしたけど、大丈夫かしら。
teacher, no? Man, you're a pretty good pupil. My ambition is to make this the place to hunt pheasant in northern Mexico. If we can keep them this size, that shouldn't be a problem. Just gotta get the gringo tourists on board. They're a big money spinner, sure. But if that's what it takes to keep this place up and running, so be it. It's all for a good cause. Speaking of gringos, my cousin told me that she'd spotted some intruders with a US license plate going hog wild, shooting animals from, get this, from a hunting stand mounted to a pickup truck. My insurance doesn't cover them, and I doubt the hunting they're doing is particularly ethical. So can you keep a lookout? Gracias.
どっかのアウトポストで、そんなトラックを見た気がしますね。
Did you notice how dry the land around the old cattle pasture was? Even compared to the rest of the ranch, I mean. The more cattle you cram into a small area, the less ground cover there is. Water just runs off the land instead of making it into the vegetation. My parents' generation dug wells and pumped out several times more water than would rain in a year. When I told them my plans for this place, they weren't happy. Said I was selling out my inheritance. We haven't spoken much since. Of course, there are plenty of rancheros out here who graze their cattle responsibly. I just want to go in a different direction. I've tried explaining what they'd gain from it. They just wish me luck. But I've heard what they say behind my back. Chavita fresita. It's like, they're basically calling me a snob. They went to college in Mexico City, same as me. I just stayed a while after I graduated. Worked overseeing protected natural areas for CONANP. But back to business. Luckily for us, there's an easy solution to the groundwater problem. It just requires some more muscle on your part. I need you to set up a few gabions. They're wire mesh baskets you fill with rocks and place along the banks of the arroyo to accumulate silt, which holds the water like a sponge so it can trickle back into the ground. The winter rains aren't as predictable as they used to be. You know, with climate change doing a number on us. So, the sooner, the better.
どこの世界も、新しいことをやろうとして苦労してますね。それでは、今回は、ガビオンとヤラを設置して終わりましょうか。
どんなものか想像つかないね。
こんなところをどうにかできるほど、ガビオンっていうのはすごいんですかね。
どうなんでしょうね。すごい保水力があったりするのかしら。
There should be a pile of rocks there. Line up the gabions first, then fill them.
ガーデニング感あるね。
正直、キリタンたちが手伝っても、あまり影響がなさそうですが。そこには目をつむってお手伝いをしましょう。
They're conspicuous enough, no? No? Well, the important thing is that they work. Cram as many as you can into each of them. That'll set us up nicely for winter.
なんか見たことありますね。
It's gonna take some time to see the effect of all this, but it's good work you're doing. Believe me, I'm grateful for the extra set of hands. I have one final task for you before you are free to go off on your own. Most of our outposts are former stockmen's residences. Gives them a bit of rustic charm, you know? Back in the old days, entire families worked the land here. Men, women, and children. We still had a couple of people on staff when I was born. But then beef prices tanked and my parents couldn't afford the expense anymore. Us kids had to pick up the slack. Anyway, there's a stockman's residence kind of in the middle of nowhere, even by the standards of this place, that had fallen into disuse. We've given it a paint job and replaced some of the furniture. Now all that's needed to officially establish it as an outpost is a notice board. Head over and set it up.
掲示板って重要なものなんですね。それでは、今回はここまでとなります。ここまで見てくれた方、
ご視聴ありがとうございました。